My bedroom didn't belong to me anymore. And the worst part was, for a few days, I almost convinced myself I was going crazy. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly. I'd come home from work, drop my bag, and something would just feel off. It was that prickling sensation on the back of your neck. The one that tells you a sixth sense is firing on all cylinders, even if your logical brain hasn't caught up yet. The first night, it was my bed. I've lived in this little apartment in Massachusetts for 3 years, and my bed has always been exactly 12 inches from the wall. I know this because that's the perfect distance to reach the outlet without having to contort myself into a pretzel. A bit weird, but plausible. I dismissed it and went to sleep. I always keep it angled slightly away from the bed, so the light doesn't blast me in the face when I turn it on. When I got home, it was angled directly at my pillow. Again, I corrected it. I started to feel a little uneasy. Was I sleepwalking? Was I moving things in my sleep and not remembering? I'd never done that before, but there's a first time for everything, right? I tried to laugh it off, telling myself I was just overworked and my memory was getting fuzzy. The third night was when the real fear started to creep in. It was the chair. That night, it was empty, not a single piece of clothing on it, and it was turned, perfectly positioned to face the bed, as if someone had been sitting there, watching me. My heart hammered against my ribs. This was not me. I would never clean that chair, ever. This was something else. Someone else. My hands were shaking as I did a full sweep of my tiny apartment. They left, and I was alone again, feeling more isolated than ever. I decided I couldn't spend another night in that apartment. I called a friend, but they didn't answer. I was on my own. I was going to catch whoever was doing this. I spent the afternoon installing the new lock, feeling a small, fragile sense of security return. I set up the webcam on my dresser, aimed at the door and the majority of the room. It was motion activated and would send an alert to my phone. I was ready. That evening I came home with a knot of dread and anticipation in my stomach. The new deadbolt was untouched. I unlocked it, then the original lock, and pushed the door open. Everything looked normal. I walked cautiously toward my bedroom, my phone clutched in my hand, ready to dial 911. My heart was a frantic drum solo in my ears. I pushed the bedroom door open. At first, everything seemed fine. The bed was where I left it. The lamp was angled away. The chair was back in its corner. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. It was just 6 words, but they shattered my world. It said, "You can use the couch now." I didn't scream, I didn't run, I just stood there frozen, the note rattling in my hand. They hadn't just been in my room, they were still here. They were in my house, with me. The message was clear. The bedroom wasn't mine to barricade. It wasn't my safe space, it belonged to them, and they had just evicted me. The couch. They wanted me to sleep on the couch, out in the open living room, where they could watch me from the shadows of the bedroom I was no longer allowed to enter. The police couldn't help me. The locks couldn't protect me. I was a guest in my own home, and a terrifying, unseen landlord had just laid down the new house rules. I never stayed another night. I left everything behind, grabbed my keys and wallet, and walked out without looking back. Sometimes you don't fight, you just run, and even now, years later, in a new city, in a new apartment, I still check my chair before I go to bed, and I never ever sleep with the door closed.